Hare Krishna, welcome to Morning Amrut Vani program. His Grace Rupavilas Prabhuji will be giving his transcendental words of wisdom. His Grace Ram Kripa Prabhuji will be reading the Namamrita, followed by Srila Prabhupada quote, followed by Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit. Thereafter, Her Grace Sadhusevani Mataji will be reciting the slokas. Welcome to everyone once again. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada की जय। His Holiness गोपाल कृष्ण गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। His Holiness भक्ति आश्रय वैष्णव स्वामी महाराज की जय। His Grace शिक्षा गुरु रूप विलास प्रभु की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री नामामृत। Every devotee should perfect his chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra so that if he takes birth again, he will not forget Krishna consciousness. Sukdev Goswami to King Parikshita. Sri Sukdev Goswami continued. Thereafter, the king of the elephants, Gajendra, fixed his mind in his art with perfect intelligence and chanted a mantra which he had learned in his previous birth as Indradyumna and which he remembered by the grace of Krishna. Such remembrance is described in Bhagavad Gita 6.43 and 44. तत्र बुद्धि संयोगम लभते पौर्वदेकम यतते च ततो भूय समसिद्धो कुरु नंदन पूर्वभाष्येन तेनैव रहते हि अवशो अपि सः. In these verses, it is assured that even if a person engaged in devotional service fallen down, he is not degraded, but he is placed in a position in which he will, in due course of time, remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As explained later, Gajendra was formerly King Indradyumna, and somehow or the other, in his next life, he became the king of elephants. Now the Gajendra in in danger, and although he was in a body other than that of a human being, he remembered the stotra he had chanted in his previous life. Yatate cha tato bhuya samasiddho kurunandana. To enable one to achieve perfection, Krishna gives one the chance to remember him again. This is proved here. For although the king of elephants, Gajendra, was put in danger, this was the chance for him to remember his previous devotional activities so that he could immediately be rescued by his Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is imperative, therefore, that all devotees in Krishna consciousness practice chanting some mantra. Certainly, one should chant the Hare Krishna mantra, which is Maha Mantra or Great Mantra, and also one should practice chanting Chintamani Prakara Sadamasu or the Narsimha Sutra, Ito Narsimha, Parato Narsimho, Yato Yami, Tato Narsimha. Every devotee should practice in order to chant some mantra perfectly so that even though he may be imperfect in spiritual consciousness in this life, in his next life he will not forget slightly next. He will not forget his consciousness even if he becomes an animal. Of course, a devotee should practice to perfect his Krishna consciousness in this life. For simply by understanding Krishna and his instructions, after giving up this body, one can return back to Godhead. Even if there is some fall down, practice of Krishna consciousness never goes in vain. For example, Ajamila in his boyhood practiced chanting the name of Narayana under the direction of his father, but later in his youth he fell down and became a drunkard, woman hunter, rogue, and thief. Nonetheless, because of chanting the name of Narayana for the purpose of calling his son, whom he had named Narayana, he became advanced even though he was involved in sinful activities. Therefore, we should not forget the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra under any circumstances. It will help us in greatest danger as we find in the life of Gajendra. Srimad Bhagavatam 8.3.1. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada quote 27 December. The business of leader. He must be himself always enthusiastic and inspire others to be always enthusiastic. Then he is a real leader. Letter to Traidas, December 27, 1972. Hare Krishna. Slightly down, please. Down, please. Please down, please. Keep down. Just hold. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. It was inevitable that Abhay would think of engaging Mahatma Gandhi in devotional service. Because of his lifetime of courageous, ascetic, and moral activities on behalf of his countrymen, Mahatma Gandhi had a great power to influence the Indian masses. As with the Mahendra Pratap, of the World Federation, Mahatma Gandhi's idea of serving God was to try to bring happiness to men through politics and through his own invented methods. As one Englishman had said of Mahatma Gandhi, he is either a saint among us, the politicians, or a politician among us saints. But be that as it may, he was not as yet fully engaged in pure devotional service, and his activities were not those of a Mahatma as described in Bhagavad Gita. The Gita defines the Mahatma as one who fully engages in worshipping Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, always chanting his glories. The Mahatma encouraged others to surrender to Krishna. But because as a young man, Abhay had been a follower of Gandhi's, Abhay had a special feeling for him. Of course, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had later convinced him to engage exclusively in devotional service. But now Abhay felt his old friendship of Gandhi, even though Gandhi was a towering figure of worldwide fame and Abhay unknown both to Gandhi and to the world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Bhagavad,
Dandavat.
Dandavat. Bhagavad Gita 17.2. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trivida Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrunu. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now, hear about this. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.14.20. Tasmim stushte kim aprapyam jagatam ishvara ishvare loka safala hi etasmai haranti balim adhrita. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped by the great demigods who are controllers of universal affairs. When He is satisfied, nothing is impossible to achieve. For this reason, all the demigods, presiding deities of different planets, as well as the inhabitants of their planets, take great pleasure in offering all kinds of paraphernalia for his worship. Hare Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrit Madhya Leela 5.81. Chota Vipra Bale Patra Karaha Likhana Punha Yena Nahi Chale Ei Sabha Vachana. Translation. The young Brahmana took this opportunity to speak. Please write this down on paper in black and white so that you are not again change your word of honor. You may not again change your word of honor. Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. श्री श्री राधा रास बिहारी भगवान की जय, ललिता सखी विशाखा माता की जय, गिरिराज गोवर्धन महाराज की जय, सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय, गौरांग निताय महाप्रभु की जय, शील प्रभुपाद की जय, मॉर्निंग चैंटिंग प्रोग्राम की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, हिज होलीनेस गोपाल कृष्ण गोस्वामी महाराज की जय. When we read the story of Gajendra, when we read the story of Ajamila, when we read the story of Chitraketu Maharaj, when we read the story of Jada Bharat Maharaj, these are the lightning, or you can say the torchlight examples in Srimad Bhagavatam of how the bhakti continues from one life to another life and another life and another life. And ultimately they go back to the spiritual world. One principle is that we should try to perfect the bhakti in this life, try to complete the bhakti in this life. But we should not use this opportunity that अभी तो आराम से करेंगे. There is no aram in bhakti. We should see and seriously chant the holy name because we do not know how much time we have. Nobody knows how much time we have. So chanting should be done seriously. More and more chanting should be done. So whatever uh, time is left, if it is utilized, that much less bhakti we'll have to do in the next life. We saw this example of Gajendra, that he had actually been sitting in meditation, and Agast Rishi came and gave him the shrap. But actually it was not a shrap, it was a vardhan. Like Narad Muni came and gave the shrap to Yamala Arjun tree, Kubera's son. And they got liberated in the next life. Similarly, Agast Muni's shrap helped him to become Gajendra. But he was able to remember at the right time the stuti because he had practiced bhakti in the past life. Neha Abhikrama Nasho Asti Pratyavayo na Vidyate Swalpamasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhaya. So this is the beauty of bhakti. It is not lost in any case, but we should try to complete in this life and go back to the spiritual world, not waste for second life. Srila Prabhupada quote two things in the quote. Prabhupada is saying enthusiasm and he should be inspiring. These are two qualities. First, he himself should be enthusiastic to follow the Guru Parampara nicely and give the same inspiration and enthusiasm to others. That is one of the qualities of a leader. That's why all our devotees should live an enthusiastic life and inspire others to get into bhakti. Very nice, Srila Prabhupada Lila Amrita says about Mahatma Gandhi. Amongst the politician, he was a saint. साधु था पॉलिटिशियन के बीच में, मगर साधुओं के बीच में he was considered as a politician. He was not considered as a sadhu because the definition of a sadhu Lord clearly says in the Bhagavad Gita, which Prabhupada quotes in the Lila Amrita, Satatam kirtiyanto mam yatantascha dradvrata namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasita. And he is Daivim Prakritim Ashrita, Bhajante Ananyamanso, Gyatva Bhutadi Avyayam. These are the two definitions which are given in the 9th chapter by the Lord Krishna, who is a real Mahatma. And unfortunately, Prabhupada knew that Mahatma Gandhi doesn't fit into this definition because he was inventing his own way. He was inventing to bring peace through politics. He was inventing to bring peace in the human life through human seva. And that is not possible because laws of nature work. This is Dukhalay. And in Dukhalay, Lord says in the 9th chapter, Anityam Asukham Lokam Prapya Bhajasvama. One has to start worship and devotion and bhakti of Lord Krishna. Otherwise, all efforts in this material world will go waste. And another problem we see from today's Leela Amrita, that if you don't follow the Guru Parampara system and you invent your way to solve the problems, you create more problems. And that's why we see Pakistan is there even today. And we are suffering from that even today because of that division that is gone. Okay. Yesterday we discussed in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was asking about faith, Shraddha, that those who do not follow the Shastra, what are the type of Shraddha? So Lord is answering the question. He says there are three types of Shraddha: Satvik Shraddha, Tamasi Shraddha, and Rajasi Shraddha. Tamasi people worship Bhutapret. Rajasi people worship, Yaksh and Rakshasas and powerful personalities. And Satvik people worship Devi Devatas. But should the Satvik people worship Lord Krishna? That is what we have to understand. As far as Bhagavatam is concerned, the rishis are speaking in front of Vena, the glories of the Lord. But how Lord is the center, how Lord has to be satisfied. He should be the center, not you should be the center. All the presiding deities, all the Devi Devatas, they worship them. And if he is satisfied, everything will come to normal. So, satisfaction of Lord Krishna is the goal of life. That is what they are trying to explain Vain. But Vain is a rascal. Vain is an asura. He will not take this good advice. And he will try to punish the sadhus. As far as the last Chaitanya Charitamrita is concerned, he didn't wanted the son to go back on his word, because he told, you bring the murti, you bring the deities, because, and if he gives the sakshi, then we'll do the rest. So he wanted in writing. So everything has to be taken in writing. ये we learn, हाँ? खास करके dealings with asura people. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम